Good morning, everyone. I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. My name is Carrie Linklater. I'm your chairperson today. I'm joined on the panel by Linda McFadden and Ed Sawatsky. Our city assessor is Svetlana Shabel, and our admin secretary is Belen Rohu. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application. We will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that applicants or the assessor make at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparison of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the board. And the board is appointed annually by City Council and is independent of it and the city administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. And as information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. And if you could swear everybody in.
Svetlana Shabel.
And you affirm the evidence that I present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please state your full name.
Marcelo Navarro.
And you swear the evidence that I present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Good morning, Ms. Shabel, and good morning, Mr. Navarro. And if you would like to start us off?
I would like to start with my credential. I work for the City Assessment Taxation Department since 2014. My current position valuation officer. I specialize in compromising property for the most of the time, representing the department before Board of Revision Municipal Board with respect to a variety of property types, including vacant land, apartments, retail, and office since July 2018. I earned the designation of Accredited Assessor Manitoba in January 2019 from the Association of Assessing Officers of Manitoba. I earned a diploma in Urban Land Economics from the University of British Columbia in 2018. Successfully complete the requirements for certificate in real property assessment from the University of British Columbia in 2015. Hold a master degree in agriculture from Moscow Agriculture University. My first case, file number 19-4780, roll number 079216300. Owner is Paul Albrechtsen. We are valuing the property as a stand of January 1st, 2020, based on economic condition as April 1st, 2018. This appeal is with respect to the amount of the assessed value only. Based on the evidence in this report, it is assessor opinion that the market value of the subject property as of April 1st, 2018, 531,000, and that the 2020 assessed value should be confirmed. The subject property is located on northwest portion of the city of Winnipeg. On page 6, 7, I presented subject location marked in air photos. The subject property located west from Oak Point Highway. The subject size consists from 2 pieces of land in regular shape of size 453,099 square feet. On page 3, I have presented 7 land comparables sale. First to sell on Hyde Avenue, most similar to the subject property as it has same manufacturing, zoning, and has no sewer, no water. Land influence. This to sell was sold in 2017 and 2016 from $9.67 and $6.57. My comparables 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 represent a good market evidence, but they have superior superior to subject property. There it's sale from 2017 and 2018. Range from $10.88 to $15.36. The subject land was assessed at $1.70. It's low range of assessment. On page 11, we can see air photo of my comparables. First on Hyde Avenue, rectangle shape of land was sold in 2017 for $9.67. On Hyde Avenue same, it's a irregular shape of land was sold in 2016 for $6.57. On page 12, non-comparables on Templeton Avenue, sale in 2017 for $10.88. My 4 comparable sale for $15.36. On page 13, Brooks Mercrell, sale in 2017 for $13.86. Another on 2018 for $15.56. In my last comparables on 10 High Water Park, sale in 2017 for $12.80. This sale showed that $1.70 for the subject land is reasonable. Based on the evidence in this report, it is assessor opinion that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2018, $531,000, and that the 2020 assessed value should be confirmed. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions?
I have no questions of the assessor. I ask that the board confirm this assessment.
Okay, so you
There's no
will.
evidence to present. Actually, there was evidence submitted, but I don't think we need to go into it. I agree with her value.
Okay. Panel, any questions? No. Mr. Swatsky?
No.
Okay. Thank you. move on to the next property, and whenever you're ready. Thank you.
File number 19-4778, roll number 14100045700. This subject property located on Point Highway, owner Paul Elbrechtsen. We are valuing the property as stand of January 1st, 2020, based on the economic condition as April 1st, 2018. This appeal is with respect to the amount of assessed value only, based on evidence in this report, in this assessor opinion, that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2018 is $823,000, and that the 2020 assessed value should be confirmed. The subject property is located northwest portion of the city of Winnipeg, at the west side of Oak Point Highway. A photo of subject property presented on page 7 and 8. The subject side has an irregular shape of 180,126 square feet. On page 3, I have presented 7 evidence for the subject property. Subject property belong to manufacturing. My first 2 comparables on Hyde Avenue has manufacturing 1 zoning. Their best represent the subject rent, subject value. They was sold in Hyde Avenue was sold in 2017 for $9.67, and 65 Hyde Avenue was sold in 2016, $6.57. Comparable 3 through 7 represent the land sale market in neighborhood. Its range, size of land range between 400,000 to 71,000 square feet, and range from $10.88 to $15.36. The subject property was assessed at rate $6.97, that's very well supported by my comparables. On page 12 to 15, you can see a photo of my cell comparables. Should I go through, or because it's same from previous property at the same time?
That's up to you. If it's the same.
It's same. So my comparables very well support a rate of $6.97 based on evidence in this report, in this assessor opinion, that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2018, $823,000, and that the 2020 assessed value should be confirmed. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions?
Yes, I
Mr.
do.
McGarry?
Of your comparables, which do you think is your best comparable?
First and second.
Okay. And you feel that the small size of the parcel at 22,240 square feet for comparable number 1 is comparable to our subject?
That's why I present second comparables for 230,000.
Okay.
So our subject in this range.
Are the remainder of the comparables, which have VCOM or VRES zoning on them, do you feel that those are fair comparables?
It's represent markets land sale in neighborhood, because I was looking for big size of properties.
Mhm. Now, what is the predominant use in this area of the subject?
If you look on my page, Page 11. Subject property presented in the red lines. It's a manufacturing line. This district intend to provide for line manufacturing, processing, service, storage, wholesale and distribution operations, with all operation contained within its closet building with some limited outside storage. So it's located specific in industrial area.
Okay, just to restate the question, I didn't actually ask you what the zoning is. I'm asking you, what is the predominant use in this area?
Manufacturing line.
That would be zoning again. Are you familiar with Oak Point and the types of businesses that are run in this area?
I can talk about my subject property, because I was compared only vacant land,
Would you agree
not
that?
commercial property.
Would you agree that most of the area is related to trucking uses?
Doesn't matter, it's manufacturing area.
Okay, those are my questions.
Thank you. Mr. Swanson?
Yes, your photograph, the air photo that you provided on page 2. Can you tell me what's on that current property now? It looks like semi-trailers, am I correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, in the trailers, yeah. Okay.
Pardon?
Yes, correct.
Thank you, that's my only question.
I can tell you for the question.
Just one question. Did you have a chance to do a drive-by on this piece of vacant land? No.
But I can describe this property through our records.
Okay.
I did some search around.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Navarro, the floor is yours.
Thank you. If you turn to page 1 of my presentation, again, this is Oak Point Highway. The land area is 117,612 square feet, or 2.7 acres. The assessment year is 2020, reference date April 1, 2018. If you look over to page 2, you can see the subject parcel. Again, this property has M1 zoning on, and that is light industrial. The highest and best use is the current use. If you turn to the sales comparison page, flip over, you'll see a big blue chart there. So I've posted some commercial land sales, which are only relevant to a point because, again, they have different zoning on them and they're in different areas. However, just below you'll see a set of comparables. And if you turn over, you'll see a map. So the subject parcel is located below Inkster Boulevard, near Southwick Avenue. Above that, you'll see some green dots near Farmer Road. So this is in the arm of Rosser. This is light industrial, same type of zoning. This is the predominant area for industrial properties selling at this point. There's not much in terms of land sales within the city of Winnipeg anymore. Most of the light industrial sales are actually occurring in the arm of Rosser, just on the cusp of the border with the city of Winnipeg. And this is all part of the new development in that area. So we have numerous sales here. Again, we've looked at them from a perspective of, what type of zoning they are, proximity to our subject, and competition. So most of the competition for our subject is coming from this area. The subject median for this area is $240,000. That's what we've gone for in terms of the value. If you turn over the next page, again, 240,000 times 2.7 acres gives us a value of $648,000. And that is the recommended amount.
Thank you. Did you have questions of the appellant?
Yes. Roser, Manitoba doesn't have Winnipeg service connections such as sewer and water, correct?
Actually, this has full sewer and water.
One second. Copy button. Please open page 9. Anything 9 show the Roser of Manitoba map. On next page 10 and 11, on page 11, you can see there are no connection to the services of Winnipeg. That white is land sale very low. Correct?
Excuse me?
Did you open my page 11?
Yes, I'm on it.
You can see that no service, no water connection. It is parts of Roser, Manitoba.
May I respond?
Yes,
Okay. So the map that you have here is from the city of Winnipeg, correct?
yes, our sewer.
So where is your
Water.
map from the RM of Rossor? Showing the sewer lines.
I don't have this information because it's not belong city of Winnipeg, and I talk about sewer water connection to the subject property and your comparables.
Okay.
It's not represent market evidence for my for subject property. It's correct?
Sorry?
It's inferior to our subject property.
It's inferior to our subject.
Yeah, because no connection.
But you're just saying that it has no connection?
I say your comparables in municipality Roser cannot represent good evidence of subject property.
Because of no sewer, no water?
Yes.
Okay. So I understand that this phase of Centerport Highway, of the Centerport development, has already had sewer and water installed in it. All of the ratepayers in this area pay an additional fee on top of their taxes or a levy for sewer and water. I don't have this evidence with me, but I think it's already, the services are already in there. Your map is simply detailing the sewer lines in the city of Winnipeg.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not detailing what's in Rossor, especially in this part of Centerport.
Because we right now talking about Winnipeg subject property in Winnipeg.
Okay. Do you realize that this is essentially within the perimeter, right beside the city of Winnipeg?
Yes,
And you don't think that's a fair comparison?
no, it's not very comparable, in my opinion. On page 3 on my button. Section comparables of 2401 McPhillips Street in industrial area. And 2005 to 2015, Sale was for $21.41 per square foot. In 2017, same parcel was sold for $32.94. It's this sale showed that our assessed value of $6.97 is reasonable and very low. It's correct?
You do realize that that actually fronts Phillips Street, correct? Okay. Again, are you aware of the predominant uses in this area?
It's industrial area,
It's a commercial area.
but in our records, it's industrial area.
What are the predominant uses around this property?
You can say that.
It's commercial.
Yeah, that's why $6.97 is reasonable for industrial area.
On McPhillips.
Yes. Not
Okay.
McPhillips, on Oak Point.
I will leave it at that.
Okay, thank you.
On page 5,
If you don't mind, I'd like to add something.
No, I'm sorry, this is not your hearing, so thank you.
on page 5, agent comparables 250 North Town Road. Sale was in 2014 for $13.79. It's commercial zoning.
And this is in Bridgewater, correct?
That's correct. It's your comparables. How it represents such a property.
Now, you see
Market
that
value.
I've got a list of commercial sales, which I spoke to, said they're not particularly relevant to this point. Hence the reason that I've added these industrial comparables at the bottom.
Okay, no questions.
Mr. Sawatsky, did you have questions on the rebuttal?
Yes. Why would you not look at what's in Rosser in terms of service
Because
adjacent to Winnipeg?
because we don't have any information, it's different municipality.
It is a different
Yeah,
municipality.
and
But it's your neighbor.
But we can talk about only Winnipeg municipality. We don't share information.
You should.
Yeah.
But anyways, the Centerport development
It's
is a
still-
development that's being done jointly with the city of Winnipeg and the RM of Rosser. The land for Centerpoint is in both municipalities.
Yes, but they don't have same access to sewers for Winnipeg service,
But
like
they
a
have-
subject property and Roscoe municipality, completely different access.
But they have sewer and water, but it's not.
They have all, yeah.
It's not connected to the city
Yes,
system, is what
it's
you're
my
saying.
point. That's why it's price very low.
And do you think, because it's not connected to the city, that the sewer and water is
Yeah,
not
it's
as
a bit
good
more.
or at the same standard?
No, it's affect market of sale of this property.
I don't
It's,
understand.
this sale will be inferior to subject property. It will be less than subject property.
Well, if this Centerport is being developed by two municipalities together,
It will be
shouldn't we
different
be
market.
looking at the value of properties together? If you're gonna build a fence with your neighbor, or build a fence, don't you normally talk to your neighbor about what you're gonna build? Whether or not he would participate? Are there any issues he might have in terms of height, et cetera, et cetera?
In this case, yes.
And in this case, isn't that similar? I have no further questions.
Thank you. Ms. McFadden?
Did you by any chance check the city of Winnipeg's records for any record of an agreement between Rosser and Winnipeg to share sewer services?
I look in map on our sewer services, because I have access to map on page 11. It just stopped on Brookside Boulevard.
Do you know what year this map would be?
Yes, 2018,
That's a 2018 map?
19, yeah.
Okay,
Fair
thank you.
enough.
Okay, thank you.
And I have no questions regarding your rebuttal, but we still have questions to the applicant. Mr. Sawatsky, did you have questions to Mr. Navarro?
Well, you indicated you have not done a drive-by on this property.
Excuse me? This
Oh, I'm
property?
sorry.
That's
It's to
her.
the applicant.
Onto the-
Oh, I have driven past the subject. In fact, I've driven past all of the comparables that I used in Rosser also.
Tell me about them.
So they are essentially, most of what's being marketed inside Rosser is between 2 and 5 acres. We recently had a set of appeals for the RM of Rosser in this area, hence the reason we had to go in there and look at all of these properties. Services are in there, they have been for some time. All of the ratepayers inside that municipality and inside Centerport in this area pay a levy for these new services, including old properties along Inkster. This would be Transex, those types of properties along Inkster, west of Route 90. Those ones also got services, and they're paying that levy as well.
Now, are these services in Rosser separate from the city and never able to be connected to the city?
So the arm of Rosser put in its own services for Centerport as part of their agreement for putting in services in this subdivision, this area of Centerport. I believe there's some sections of the city of Winnipeg, portions of Centerport, that also have services. I mean, those were just extended from the main lines that are present in the city of Winnipeg grid. So it was a requirement of both municipalities to have services in place. And both municipalities have complied with that in this initial phase of Centerport. So they're very much comparable. And as I mentioned, in terms of sales for the subject, around the subject, I know that the assessor had one sale in there, which in terms of size, it's a little bit bigger. It can compare, however, what we're saying is that the market is essentially in that Centerport area for everything along Route 90, trucking related. Most of the uses in the Rosser area mimic what's happening along Route 90, the Centerport area of Winnipeg also. They're zoned as light manufacturing. Again, there's quite a few sales. Again, we're saying that this is where the competition is, so we think that these sales are very relevant.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
No further questions.
Questions?
I'll ask you the same question. Did you search for an agreement between the city of Winnipeg and the RM of Rosser are you aware of any agreement?
So I think the agreement is a tripartite agreement between all levels of government, the municipalities, the provincial government, and the federal government to build Centerport. So as a requirement, these municipalities were required to have services in place as the phasing goes along. So the services that the RM of Rosser has put in have been put in by the RM of Rosser. I don't think that they're necessarily connected to the city of Winnipeg. In fact, I don't think they are. But they would be equivalent to what the city of Winnipeg has. So again, they've complied with these agreements. They've put in the services. The taxpayers or the ratepayers are paying for these services already. I don't see why they're not comparable.
Thank you.
And my questions have been asked and answered. Thank you.
Thank you.
I definitely can make a copy of the rebuttal, but since we're too far.
Sure. take a short 5-minute break? Anyway, I'd like to call this meeting, hearing back to order, and we will go on to the next property. And Mr. Navarro, the floor is yours.
Why?
Spillana goes first.
Oh, sorry. Already I'm anticipating those evening hearings. Oh,
What happened?
a senior's moment.
Yeah.
Yes,
File
Ms. Shable,
number.
if you could.
19-4776, roll number 140-963-44100. The subject property located on Oak Point Highway and belong Paul Albertsen. We are valuing the property as a stand of January 1st, 2020, based on economic condition of April 1st, 2018. This appeal is with respect to the amount of the assessed value only. Based on evidence in this report, it is assessor opinion that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2018, $1,322,000, and that the 2020 assessed value should be confirmed. The subject property is located northwest portion of the city of Winnipeg. On page 7, we can see of my report, we can see subject location map and air photo. And on page 8, this piece of land has an irregular shape of 237,220 square feet. On page 3, I have presented 7 land comparables. First to sale on Hyde Avenue in 2016 and 2017 has manufacturing flight zoning similar with subject property zoning. It was sold for $9.67 and $6.57. We did assess the subject property in $5.57. That is much lower than my first 2 comparables. My comparables from 3 to 7 has very close to subject property. First comparables has commercial zoning, C4 regional, and they're similar in size. They have range from 71,000 to 400,000. Sale between 2017 and 2018, and range from $10.88 per square foot to $15.36 per square foot. On page 4, I put Google map of my comparables location, and red dot is Oak Point. It's our subject property. You can see Hyde Avenue very close to subject property. It's my best comparables. On page 9, I did represent the zoning map. Our subject property located in zoning light manufacturing. And on page 10 through 13, air photo of my comparables. First comparables on page 10 on Hyde Avenue has just more than 22,000 square feet for $9.67. Another sale on Hyde Avenue for 230,000 square feet for $6.57. On page 11, and Templeton sale in 2017 for $10.88. Another sale in 2018, 2nd February, for $15.56. On page 12, a sale on Brooksmere Trail on 2017 for $30.86. Another sale in February 2018 for $15.36. And last sale on 10 High Water Park for $12.88. Our subject property assessed at rate $5.57, that is much lower as my comparables, it's low range of assessment value. Based on evidence of this report, it is assessor opinion that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2018, $1,322,000, and that the 2020 assessed value should be confirmed. Thank you. Some questions?
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Navarro?
This rate is model generated?
Correct.
Okay. Did you look at any of these individual sales to see if there's common ownership with adjacent parcels or anything like that? Did you actually investigate these sales?
I just looked at it's free membership, free sales, and I was looking for sale between 2016 and 2018 before reference date, April 1st, 2018.
Now, I'm going to ask that you turn to page 10 of your report. And you can see that this parcel here it doesn't appear to be a building. Would you agree?
Yes,
Okay. And are you aware of whether this is parking for one of these adjacent parcels?
it's look like parking because I can see trailer
Okay,
on top.
okay.
But I can look like parking comparables because it's vacant land in our
Okay.
records.
I guess what I'm asking you
It's
is,
for future developments for sure.
okay, so what I'm asking you is, are you aware whether one of these adjacent buildings controls that parcel?
I didn't look at that.
And this is the same evidence provided as the previous, okay. Those are my questions.
Thank you. Mr. Sawatsky?
You reduced this parcel to $5.57 a square foot, saying it was different than the other properties you presented.
Because much higher, small parcel of land has more high net rent compared to bigger piece of land.
So this is a bigger piece and therefore
Yes.
the justification for $5.57
Yes,
rather
it's
than
correct.
6 something.
Mhm.
Okay. And can you confirm what the zoning is on this property?
On this property zoning, on my page 3, I have manufacturing light zoning,
Yeah.
and I have zoning map on page 9.
Okay. Thank you. That's all.
I have no further questions.
I'm just wondering on page 2 of your brief. Is this piece of land connected, or do you know what this building is here?
200. No, I don't know. I didn't
Okay.
look at that.
And on the other side, here, so
Okay,
here, do you know what is going on this property?
It's a property, if you look on page 9. We have two property belong to same owner, our subject property, and up here in regular shape was previous subject property.
Okay, thank you.
So they both close. So all this area light manufacturing. It's allowed, this district intend to provide for light manufacturing, processing, service, storage, wholesale and distribution operation The sole operation with enclosed building with some limited outside storage.
Okay. Thank you.
I will ask you to turn to the chart. Again, this is similar information, just as the assessor has provided similar information.
You don't
So-
have your evidence.
Do you have it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have it.
I don't have.
I got signed for and picked up by your department. I can bring you my copy.
Okay, so I think we know where this property is located. So we'll go just to the chart. We've used the same comparables again. Again, this is a larger parcel, so we're adjusting for that. The average of the comparables that we had for the RM of Rosser was 2.678 acres. This subject is 5.4 acres, so it's significantly larger. We've chosen a rate of $200,000 per acre. And if you go through the comparables again on the previous page, you can see there that there are some larger parcels at 3.08 acres and 3.8 acres. One for $227,000 an acre and one for $190,000 an acre. And again, our subject is larger than these also. So we've put in a rate of $200,000 per acre at 5.4 acres. Gives us $1,080,000 or $4.59 per square foot, $4.59 per square foot. That's my presentation.
Thank you.
Yes.
Questions, Ms. Sherwood?
Yes, please open page and evidence on page, I don't know. I see an IT table. It's a fourth line. Comparables on 23 Rosay, vacant land of 142,000 square feet. Sale in 2014 was for $13.80. It's manufacturing too. It's a very zoning, very similar for subject property, correct?
I would say that it's probably not a good comparison for our subject, just because of its location.
Sorry, which one are we talking about?
On the first chart, the blue chart,
Yeah.
And fourth line from down.
fourth line from the bottom.
From
has
Oh, from the bottom.
M2.
Okay, sorry.
Okay,
No questions.
thank you. Mr. Swansky?
In your brief on second page, you've indicated that the zoning of this property is C3, and the assessment says it's M1 like
Oh,
manufacturing.
that's right. That might be a mistake, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No other questions?
Thank you.
And I have no further questions.
And I have no further questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, this is Mr. Talani. We filed the appeal on his behalf, but he's representing himself.
Oh, okay.
He's the owner of the property. And this is 2093.
Roger.
Yep.
Have,
Actually, excuse me, we're actually following the docket and it's 700 Notre Dame.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
Yeah.
That's me then. This one's long.
Yeah, I'll get that. Also, we'll have to make a decision about the
Yeah,
evidence.
maybe
We're just gonna get it in the 2 weeks to
Oh, yeah, you're after, sorry. Okay. Thank you for my glasses. Oh my God, I can't find, can't see well, that's fine.
Okay. Please state your full name.
Sid Story.
And you swear the event about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do,
Thank you.
thank you.
Also, can I just get a copy of my...
We are hearing 700 Notre Dame Avenue, and whenever you are ready, thank you.
File number 19-455, 4255, roll number 130-414-68000. Subject lot located 70 Notre Dame Avenue. We are valuing the property as it stands of January 1st, 2020, based on the economic condition as April 1st, 2018. This appeal is with respect to the amount of the assessed value only. Based on the evidence in this report, in this assessor opinion, that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2019, 124,000. In that, the 2020 assessed value should be confirmed. The subject property is located at northwest portion of the city of Winnipeg. Please open page 7 and 8. Then I did represent the subject location map and air photos. It's located south of Notre Dame. On page 8 you can see a photo of subject properties. The rectangle, the subject size has rectangle shape of 2,875 square feet. On page 2, I have history about subject property sale. In 2008, this property was sold for 120,000. In our assessment, only 4,000 difference in 10 years. On my page, my report page 3, I did represent, showed 8 land sale comparables. When I search for my land sale comparables, I try to find smallest piece of commercial land. I have sale on Bowman Avenue. Okay, my piece of land from 2,000 and maximum 6,700 square feet. All our subject property has a heavy traffic. You can see heavy traffic on my comparables 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5, and 7. because it's commercial property and visibility on road, it's very important. On my cell in 2017 and range between $26.12 to $56.90. The subject property was assessed at $43.13. On page 4, there map of my land sale comparables. The subject property is red dot. On page 9, I did represent, I showed map for zoning map. Subject property is commercial C2 community. This district intend to accommodate more intensive commercial size. They do not have a local or neighborhood orientation. Also, this district intend to include attractive commercial institution, recreation, and service facilities needed to support surrounding neighborhood and broad community. On page 10 through 13, airport of my sale comparables. First sale on Bowman Avenue, around 3,000 square feet in 2017, was sold for $26.12. Second sale on Net Des Maron Street, around 3,000 square feet for $48.61.
Can you tell me, excuse me for a sec, what page are you
10 and 11.
on? Okay, sorry.
It's in the middle.
On page 11, on Maryland, size of 4,400 for $56.90. On Main Street for $78.56. On page 12, on Isabel, size 6.7 thousand square feet for $34.22. On Colony Street, 6.6 thousand square feet for $54.84. On Logan Avenue, land just small, 2,000 square feet for $46.10. On Spence Avenue for $44.99. My comparable shows that assessed rate of $43.30, it's reasonable, and site is range. Based on evidence in this report, it is assessor opinion that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2018, $124,000, and that the 2020 assessed value should be confirmed. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Questions, Mr. Story?
I didn't get your very last sentence, just complete. So I'm sorry, can you speak up a little bit too for
Okay.
me?
Based on the evidence in this report,
Yeah.
it is assessor opinion that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2018, $124,000, and that the 2020 assessed value should be confirmed.
Thank you.
I will go out. Thank you.
Okay. Questions?
Questions of the assessor?
Yes. Have you been to the site?
Yes, I tried.
Yes, you have. So you know it's a long skinny piece of property, 28 feet by 100 feet, adjacent to the what used to be the Maryland Hotel. It's now called the New Lodge. Okay. And you know it's been heard by this board on other occasions. My understanding, and I represented it the last number of years, is that the city evaluated it on an income approach because they've deemed that there's very little development opportunity. Is that your understanding as well?
No, I value Heisen West use right now vacant land for future developments.
But they're generating revenue from it right now.
No.
No, they're not?
No.
Okay. And you've looked at it and are there's no access or egress off of Notre Dame, correct? You can't drive into the site, you don't go over the sidewalks. Right?
You have access, yeah. For
Right.
sidewalk, yeah.
No, you can't drive in off of Maryland. If you're part of Notre Dame, you can't come down Notre Dame and get to the site. You have to get to the site by going back to McGee, and then you come up the back lane.
Yeah, it's correct. On page 8, you can see photo. Yeah, it's real sidewalk. You can see it. You cannot go through.
Yeah, it's the sidewalk. You can't drive the car, that very car on your page 8 can't get onto Notre Dame from there. Correct? And they only can get a car onto this long skinny piece at the will of their neighbor, if their neighbor allows them to use that back lane.
Correct.
Okay.
This size.
So it would be, would you at least concede it would be a difficult property to develop?
It will be easy to develop because in 2014 there was demolished two-story commercial building.
So by
Past
demolishing
history
a
show-
building, that makes it easier to redevelop, is you're saying?
Because it was two-story commercial building. It's a commercial, very high, heavy traffic. It's very good commercial zoning and visibility. It will be future developed for
And
sure.
what might you consider as a typical development for that? Would it be an office, or would it be a
It's can be
McDonald's, or what would you
office,
do?
it can be retail store.
What's that?
It can be office and can be retail store.
I'm sorry to get that. It's going to be
It can be office or retail store. It
office
will
or
be, yeah.
retail store.
It
Okay.
will be, yes.
Do you know what a gallonage
commercial.
hotel, what that means? Gallonage hotel?
No.
Do you know that the Maryland Hotel has not had a particularly good reputation over the years? There's an influence here. The Maryland Hotel is beside this. Do you believe the proximity to the Maryland Hotel affects the ability to develop this property?
But subject, please open my page 3,
Yeah,
my evidence.
yeah.
My comparables number 3. Piece of land 4.4 thousand square feet was sold in 2017 for $56.90.
But is that not
It's
in the
Maryland
granola
Street.
belt? Is that not on Maryland on the other side of,
It's 96 Maryland Street.
yeah, where is that?
On page 4, I have map on my comparables in Maryland Street on
Okay.
bottom.
And is that your best comparable?
Yes, because it's small comparables and it's commercial zoning.
Okay. Okay. So when I go to your numbers 1 to 8, this is the one at Maryland, it's number 3?
Yes, correct.
It's your best comp, it's,
No, because you was talking about Maryland hotels. This hotel doesn't affect market sale evidence for $56.90.
then being next door to a beverage or gallonage hotel, in your opinion, doesn't restrict or limit the development opportunities?
I
Is that
know
what you're
that
saying?
it's very visible and good intersection with high density of people walking by,
Mhm.
because it's a hospital close to it.
Yes,
It's
there's a
very-
hospital across the street. You may need it sometimes if in that area.
What is your point?
No, I'm saying there is a hospital, that's a positive thing because
Yeah,
there's
for any commercial
there's a lot of crime in
developments.
that area, I'm suggesting. Okay, that's all, just here to clean up. Thank you,
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Sawatsky?
No questions.
So which of your comparables would you consider to be the best? Sorry, you made a comment and I missed which one it was.
It's a commercial community, commercial C community comparables. You can see the first two comparables have the same commercial, same size, land sale.
Was that number 3 you're talking about, again? Just
No.
okay.
Sorry, no.
I just can't understand you.
Because
That's
I
okay.
try to
You can ask.
present different market evidence of this piece of land, that it's valuable piece of land. And on heavy traffic, it's very important for commercial development.
Right.
So heavy traffic on comparables 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you. Page 2 of your brief, you've got your sale history. So the sale in 2008 for 120, was that an arm's length sale?
Yes.
Okay. And, sorry, earlier were you saying that comparable number 3 on your page 3 is your best comparable?
No, I was just respond to question about Maryland Hotel, how it's
okay.
affected
Sorry.
sale in this
Okay.
area.
Did you have a chance to drive by the subject property?
Yes, for sure.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Story, the floor is yours.
Yes, so we haven't, I'm sorry, I thought 3 was your best comparable. What's your best comparable? Just give me one.
Second,
Number 2, on Desmiran.
2, 3, 4, 5, and 7.
Okay, and has anything happened since that sale?
Sorry, this is your presentation now.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay. Okay, we'll be very quick, this is just kind of housekeeping. If we go to our brief, you can see a photograph on the front page. The left side, of course, is the infamous Maryland Hotel, which is going through a rejuvenation, a regeneration, and becoming more of a transitional place for people coming in from up north to get treatment at Health Sciences Center. It does still have a vendor and a VLT room as a freestanding building. It's a very difficult part of the city with a lot of crime. You can see by the photograph on the front of our brief, it's a long skinny piece. It's 28 feet wide by 100 feet deep with no access or egress to Notre Dame. And the use of the back is you have to use the back lane and the blocks off the back lane so people can't drive through. They block it, and that allows you to get into that skinny piece. They can accommodate up to nine cars in there if people park properly, because it's not wide enough for 2 lanes. I don't know what the development opportunities would be for this site. I think the highest and best use is what it is now. It is generating about $60 a stall for the people that want to park there. There's a pharmacy just opened in the building, and I think some of those folks are using it for parking. So the city, we've done this before, and again, we just want to clean it up. The city, if you go to page 3 of our brief, what the city has done is recognize 9 parking stalls. We've got a 5.5 cap because it's outside of the central core, it's out of downtown. If the board has had occasion to hear any of the assessors, or pardon me, of the appeals on surface parking lots, you'll find that they're about $103.50 a month in downtown area. As you get to the further out, they're at a lesser amount. We just did $8.39 Portage 2 days ago, and it's $55 a stall because it's not downtown. And I'm saying that's the only reasonable way to value this property, and it's $108,000, so it's just an adjustment. That's my presentation. Thanks.
Thank you. Questions?
You don't provide any market evidence of the vacant land sale, correct?
Of the vacant land sale? No, as a matter of fact, my understanding is different than yours. You indicated quite definitively that the sale of that property in 214 was arm's length, and I'm not sure that's correct. No, I didn't provide. This is just, we're just trying to come up with a value that's reasonable and consistent from cycle to cycle.
Your highest and best use of this parcel is
Right now, the highest and best
parking lot,
use
yeah?
is parking. It's an interim use. It's like being inventoried for an opportunity, but there may be a long time to inventory this opportunity, because I don't know what would fit there, given its location and the proximity to the hotel.
No question.
Thank you. Mr. Sawatsky?
Do you know what those stalls are actually rented for at this point?
About $60 a month. We use 55 because there's costs associated, snow removal, property taxes, etc. And I'm not sure there's many monthly parkers. Most people just kind of leave your car running and out kind of thing. I don't know if there's any monthly parkers per se, but they would charge, that's what they would be charging if they were. There's some staff working in the hotel now in this pharmacy. None of the staff that work in the hotel proper, without this new addition of the pharmacy, needed or had parking. They requested parking. So it wasn't staff parking before, but it may be now because there's some pharmacists and things on site.
Now, the previous sale was $120,000 back in 2008,
Correct.
and you're suspicious that it's not?
Well, it was bought with the hotel. Nobody would buy that piece of property alone. It was bought with the hotel. And that's how that's why the hotel, the same owner of the hotel, the new lodge it's called now, Mr. Wariak, is also the owner of that parking lot. So I assume that they bought it when they bought the hotel.
Strange that wouldn't be part of that parcel, isn't it?
On title, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, if you remember, I don't know if you go back far enough, but I lived over there. So that used to be a florist, Roy's Florist. And the hotel bought the florist shop, knocked it down, built the parking, but they left that, they had no choice, they left that little strip between them.
Thank you.
Questions?
I had a question that's going on in my head. Go ahead.
Okay, you remember, that's fine. So there's no plugs to this parking lot?
No plugs, there's no asphalt, there's no lines.
So is the hotel, I haven't driven by there for a while, so is the hotel actually demolished, or is
No.
it just being refurbished?
No, the hotel is going through a conversion, the rooms, they took out all the bars, and they built a freestanding vendor with a bit of a nightclub and BLTs, but at the south end of the property, removed from the actual building. And that allows them to, they now promote themselves and call themselves the New Lodge at Health Sciences Center. So they're
Okay,
doing transitional, people are in from up north for medical treatment, they get fed and stay at the New Lodge. And they've done the same thing, the same family's done this. It's a wonderful thing for our city, because they also did the Balmoral Hotel, where they took out all the striptease and all the things of that nature, and they've gone to meeting rooms and very, very little alcohol and whatnot. But they still too have a freestanding vendor, so you have to pay
Yes.
the bills.
So the hotel then is essentially the same, but it's been refurbished, but is the, I guess it's the pharmacy, this is a new
Yeah, it's,
portion that's been
I
built?
call it the pharmacy because they call it the pharmacy, but I think you pick up prescriptions there.
Right, but is
Yeah.
it a new build?
No, it's just it's right here.
Right.
It's actually right where
Right,
the entrance, right by the parking,
okay.
right by the parking lot.
Okay, so you said earlier that this little strip may be staff parking, so do you not?
No, I indicated that what happened is, up until this pharmacy just recently opened. And up until that time, there's no demand for that. There's no staff works at the hotel that drive cars, I think is a fair comment.
Okay.
Now, I think that you'll see there's cars there, and I presume it's from the people at the pharmacy. The staff might be part, the staff from the pharmacy might be part of it. I believe the pharmacy is a tenant, but we would pay rent.
Okay. So do you know for a fact then that $55 per month is being collected on 9 stalls?
No, I don't think they're collecting anything, to be honest.
Okay.
And I think the assessor said that.
Okay.
Did you indicate? Yeah, I believe the assessor indicated they're not collecting.
Okay.
But you still have to establish a surface parking rate, whether you collect it or not, or if it's part of the building.
Right.
Yeah.
So your contention then is to have this as surface parking, even though the city has it as vacant land?
It's virtually impossible to value it because of the encumbrances and restrictions associated with developing it. Mostly access, egress, location, proximity to a beverage hotel. It's in a transformation. So what's the best? Sales comparisons don't really work. You can't look at Wolseley and say, well, that's Maryland and Wolseley, so that must be comparable. They're not. This is a very large, there's huge social issues in that area.
Right, I understand. So, sorry, so there's no, you can't get into this little strip off Notre Dame.
Oh, you have to come off of
And you can't,
McGee.
right, and you cannot get access to it off Maryland either.
No. Well, you can, off Maryland? Yes, if you turn on Maryland,
Right, but
you
then
could, you could go past the hotel. You'd have to go right past the hotel,
Right.
get onto McGee,
right,
and then come back that
then
way.
come and
Yeah.
go down the back lane.
And what they've done is they've actually, to make sure people don't try to get into the lot to lot, they got concrete barricades at the end of the back lane
Okay,
that they put in, not the city.
okay. Thank you, that's all my
Okay.
questions. Did you?
I did I hear you say that in previous cycles that this has been actually looked at
Yes,
as
we
a
just did it,
parking lot?
yes, it's been valued as surface parking lot.
And that the city agreed with that?
Well, this is,
that
that was the
valuation?
assessment was on the, yes, that's how we did we did on the income approach. The city
Okay.
defended it on the income approach.
Okay, thank you.
The city talked about potentially higher rates because of proximity to the Health Sciences Center.
Correct.
And you'll find that with surface parking, is if you get your $103 downtown, you go to Elgin for the Red River College, you're at $55. You go back, then you go out to William, and it goes up again because of the hospital. But this is quite removed from William.
And there are no services on this?
No.
So you can't plug your car in?
No.
Okay, thank you.
And we have one at, as I say, 829, we just did a surface parking lot, we used $55 a foot because it was on Beverly and Notre Dame and Simcoe, Portage and Beverly, Portage and Simcoe.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, I'll introduce Mr. Oh, you more questions?
Nope, nope. We're just gonna take a short break for
Okay.
1 moment. If you can swear in.
Okay, you have the option to swear in on the Bible or to affirm without it.
That's right.
Please state your full name,
Colvin to one.
and you swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Morning.
Mr. Tawani, I'm just going to, before we get into things, do you have actual written evidence that you're going to be distributing?
I
Or you're
would
wanting
like,
to?
I would like to, I've never done this before.
Of course.
And I was a little confused, I had Mr. Story of Fairfax represent me on other appeals, which he was successful on. And I just assumed that, my fault. I just assumed that he was representing me. He reminded me with an email last week that I had to do this on my own. So I got the information as best as I could.
Okay.
And,
So unfortunately, Mr. Tawani, you had a 2-week window within which to submit your evidence. And so we will hear verbal evidence from you today, but you will not be able to distribute any written evidence to the panel or to the city assessor.
sad, I just went and paid the clerk's office 50 cents a page to
I'm
make more
s-
copies.
yeah. I'm sorry, if you can understand though,
Yeah.
that is the rules.
Well, I
But you can read from your evidence and we will be happy to hear your evidence.
Okay, I will read the evidence, if you like to just follow
Yes.
along, it's easier.
But we're gonna start with the assessor.
Certainly.
Thank you. Whenever you're ready.
File number 19-1269, roll number 07051246000, 293 Portrait Avenue, owned by Wayne Cavani. We are valuing the property as a stand of January 1st, 2020, based on the economic condition as April 1st, 2018. This appeal is with respect to the amount of assessed value only. Based on evidence in this report, It is assessor opinion that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2018, $1,087,000, and that the 2020 assessed value should be confirmed. The subject property is located on northwest portion of the city of Winnipeg. On my page 7 on my report, we have subject location map and air photos. The subject property is located north from Portridge Avenue. The subject site has an irregular shape of 20,042 square feet. On page 2nd, I have air photo of subject property. On page 3, there are 5 land sale comparables. We sell 2016-2018. Subject property has zoning C community. Fourth, my land comparables has C commercial zoning, and my fifth comparables, it represent multifamily residential. I was looking for size similar to subject property of just around 20,000 square feet. My comparables, Allegiant, Portridge, Henderson, Pembina, University. A map of my comparables on page 4. Size between 21,000 square feet to 28,000 square feet. Range sale from $43.96 to $83.51. We did assess subject property at $54.24. On page 9, there zoning map. The subject property is in red. It's for zoning, commercial zoning that intend to accommodate more intensive commercial sites. They do not have a local or neighborhood orientation. On page 10 through page 12, area photo of my land comparables. On page 10, first comparables of Allegiant Avenue, a rectangle shape of sale in 2016, just 21,000 square feet for $83.51. On Portridge Avenue, sale in 2016 for $43.96. On Henderson Avenue, in 2018 for $39.29. On Pembina Highway for $67.04. And my last comparables on page 12 for $49.10. My comparable showed that assessed rent, net rent for $54.24 is reasonable inside this range of my comparables. Based on the evidence in this report, it is assessor opinion that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2018, $1,087,000, and that the 2020 assessed value should be confirmed.
Thank you. Did you have any questions of what the assessor has just presented?
I have some, if I may.
Yes?
I'd like to ask, are any of these comparables in the APO 1 or 2 zone?
Not present.
See, Winnipeg has an airport vicinity bylaw. It has restrictions. My property is in that restricted zone. I can only build so high, I can only do so much density.
Yes.
And I have limited uses, even though I'm zone C2, I can't build, a multifamily with retail on the main floor, I'm not allowed that.
Yes, my comparables number 2 on Portridge Avenue has same zoning, C2 and very similar in size. My comparables 3 and 4 have similar size and same zoning. It's range from $40 to $67. That's
Okay,
what-
so, just to backtrack a little bit here, you have comparables here. Number 2 you say is comparable,
Mhm.
and number 3 and 4 you say is comparable, but number 3 and 4 don't have that restriction of APO, isn't that not right?
I didn't look so deep.
Well, there's no airport on Henderson Highway or Pembina Highway, is there?
I don't know answer.
Let me see. And this is a 2016 sale of, it's not a current sale, right?
Yes, it's not current sales, it should be adjust upwards for time, 2 years, 24 months.
Well, 2016 is more than 24 months, isn't it?
Our reference date, April 1st, 2018. So all what I allowed to present at market evidence before 2018. So my sale number 2 in 2016, I should time adjustment for 2 years upwards for market.
Do you have any current sales? Any 2019 sales?
I have current sales on my comparables number 3. It's sale 7 February 2018 for $39.29.
So the trend is downwards, you're saying it's not up?
Yes, it's on Henderson Highway. It's this property inferior compared to our subject property on Portridge Avenue.
Okay, so why is it inferior?
Because amount of traffic going by, because it's commercial property and the traffic, very important.
Would you not agree that the Henderson Highway site is usable for multifamily, which seems to be the highest use today in Winnipeg, highest demanded? Would you not agree with that?
I don't know answer.
I see. Are you familiar with the airport vicinity bylaw? And you know there's restrictions there,
Yes, it's restriction.
right? And you know that this site is in that airport vicinity bylaw 1, so there's absolutely no leeway on multifamily, you know that, right?
I don't have information with me.
I see. Do you know where the runway for the airport is? Do you know it goes right over this property? Did you know that? There's a height limitation for this property. Did you know that?
I know now.
You know now.
I will search for it.
So you provide comparables that are really not comparables. Isn't that not correct?
I provide comparables with same zoning, with similar size.
The comparables you provided are not restricted with the airport vicinity bylaw on Pembina Highway and on Henderson Highway University. Is that not correct?
I don't know answer.
Do you know the limitations, the boundaries of the airport vicinity?
I will be search for it.
I don't have it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Swansky.
There is a sale back in 2005, and Any comments on that? I know it's an old sale, but it was $560,000.
2005.
It's in your submission on
Mhm.
page 2.
From my information, in 2000, it was Horizon Daycare Center.
That was zoned.
It's was in 2000 we had a Horizon Daycare Center, so it was demolished
Okay.
after before sale. And 2016 was a condition a variation in condition use for this property. To various
Conditional use was
Yes.
granted for the property.
Really?
What kind of conditional use?
Zoning bylaw 6400-94 to the construction of 179 room hotel, limit to guest room to permit. I guess it was closed in 2006.
So conditional use was granted
Mhm.
for a hotel.
Yes, I can see in my records
Okay.
on this property.
Sorry, what year was that?
It was in 2006. It's
2006 or
Mhm.
16?
Mhm.
6.
6, yeah.
I have no further questions, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I rebut on that?
No, I'm sorry, sir, for questioning. Thank you. Questions?
When did you purchase this property?
2005.
Assessor.
Oh, assessor. Sorry, assessor.
It's been a long
Yeah, confusing. No, I have no questions for the assessor.
Ms. Shable, do you know what was on this property before?
Before was in our records, in 2000, it was Horizon Daycare Center. It was a permit for interior to alteration, daycare center in the Lodge, United Church.
Okay, United Church, thank you. And this was demolished in, so,
In 2005.
and then the property was sold, and that's what triggered the sale
Mhm.
in December of that year, okay. And I'm sorry, you were talking with Mr. Sawatsky about conditional use, and I didn't quite follow what you said about that.
I just in my records in 2006 was permit for variance, conditional use was permit that would close in 2006 about plan to build some hotel.
Sorry, so an application was made to build a hotel? Okay.
So, can I ask a further
Yes,
question?
go ahead.
If this is in the airport restriction zone, there must have been some evidence as to the limitations on height of the hotel or the building.
Demolish was in 2014. I can see it here. It's a general public institutional, demolish 1 story, 40,106 square feet, church building on same property.
That was 2014.
This is very confusing.
Yes, in 2014. It was sale together with building. 2014 was demolished one building for 40,000 square feet, another building around 6,000 square feet. Was demolished in 2014.
I have no further questions.
On April 7.
Go ahead.
The conditional use was an application, but did you say it was granted? It actually got a conditional use?
Conditional use was in 2016 when building was still exist. In 2014 it started to be vacant land.
So the conditional use was for the existing building that was there?
Mhm, yes.
It wasn't for a new construction, it was
No.
for, so they wanted to use the building that was there for something else?
Yes, correct.
And when you were telling us what was in the building previously, you said a daycare and something to do with immigrants, did you say?
Yes,
So that could have been why
daycare
then.
just around 6,000 square feet, and also another building, 40,000 square feet. It was church building.
Okay, thank you.
It's terrible, Jen.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Okay, I have no further questions, thank you. Sir, if you'd like to give us your verbal
I'd like to
presentation?
do some house cleaning first. The site is 20,000 square feet. There was never a 40,000 square foot church on that site. That information is totally false. It was a one-level church, probably about 8,000 square feet at best. I demolished it because the building was condemned. The basement had filled up with 8 feet of water. The high ceiling basement had filled up with water. The daycare was next door, but they were only there for a few months. The church had subsidized their rent. When I came in, I had to at least cover my costs, and the daycare got free rent in a nearby school, so they moved. I wanted to build a hotel there. I had, it was gonna be about a 70-room hotel, because I was not allowed to do multifamily. I didn't know that when I bought the site. And I quickly learned that. So we made a variance application in 2006, which was denied. Which was denied. So we made other plans, began demolishing the building, excavated the site, started the building permit process. The neighbors didn't like their church being demolished, even though it had not been a church for nearly a decade. A lot of complaints, and Mr. Fielding was the counselor, and he made it very difficult, and he canceled my building permit, and the hole got refilled. And I got a ding bill for $150,000 from the city of Winnipeg. So I've owned this site since 2005. I've done nothing with it because I can't. It's a very expensive site to hang on to, and I get these silly assessments. My comparables are nowhere near there, and they're recent. You can see the trend is downward, not upwards. I bought this again in 2005 for actually the appraisal back then was $350,000. Information is wrong that the assessor has. And if you'd like to follow along with what I've written, it can make my presentation easier. Can I just give you this one?
You can, yes, you can give your presentation verbally. No, verbally, sir.
Oh, verbally?
Can't- Right.
Okay. Alright, so the subject property is zoned C2, 20,042 square feet. It is restricted for multifamily use. It is restricted for height. It is on the path to the airport for landing for airplanes.
This is the subject site, sorry?
This
that
is
you're
the
talking
subject
about?
site.
Okay.
The assessment is 1,087, 5424 square foot. The sites that I found were comparable, unfortunately, all could be developed without restriction for their zoning. 175 St. Anne's Road sold recently.
What's the date? We can only take sales up to,
April 1st, 2018.
2018. Was the sale?
That's
for?
post-reference.
Pardon me?
That is post-reference.
Post reference?
Yeah.
Okay. Then we have 198 McPhillips. And McPhillips is a little bit larger site, it's 37,600 square feet, 1.3 acres. Sorry, 1.3 acres, and it's 56,628 square feet. And that is early 18. And that is $13.68 per square foot, and that's vacant land. It's on McPhillips Avenue with a 37,600 per day vehicle passing by daily. Roster, 136 Wheatfield Road, just spitting distance from Route 90. 2.23 acres. That's sold for $10.53 a square foot. That is a parking lot that generates $7,000 a month in rent.
Sorry, what was the sale price again?
$1,055,000, and it's 2.23 acres, and it's $10.53 per square foot.
Thank you.
What year was that sale?
That was early in 2018.
Okay.
And again, early in 2018, it's 1700 Leela Avenue, 2.7 acre site that's sold with multifamily zoning, RMF-M, medium density, good for 6 floors. And that sold for $23.98 per square foot. All these sites are superior to mine because they're not restricted by the APO. And the highest and best use for this site unfortunately is multifamily, because that's all surrounds it as multifamily. We're allowed to do a hotel here, but given the neighborhood's descent, we haven't been able to develop anything with the site. During the demolition, 3-4 bricks fell on the sidewalk, and we made CBC News. The neighbors phoned and said there was a crash on Portage Avenue. That wasn't the case. So we've had quite a bit of difficulty on this site. The value is nowhere near what the assessor says. The comparables that they point out do not reflect the reality. I think if worst case scenario, if you take Leela, which is $23 a square foot, or you take Wheatfield, which is $10 a square foot, it's nowhere near $54 a square foot. You know, you're a little older comparable that they give you on King Edward, but that is not on the airport path. And they can build on that site 60 feet. I can't build 60 feet on my site. That is not a comparable. And they're in APO 2, I'm in APO 1. APO 1 has significantly greater restrictions than APO 2. King Edward and Portage Avenue is in APO 2, so they actually can build some multifamily there. But I can't build any multifamily on my site whatsoever. The comparables that are here are not relevant at all. And I couldn't do multifamily, so I was going to do a hotel because of the hospital next door. They have terminally ill patients and they get relatives and friends visiting from out of town. And so I figured that would have been the next, but wasn't able to do that either. Retail wise, you could build a couple of stores in the front, but it wouldn't pay the taxes, wouldn't pay the bills. So I couldn't get any tenants for that either. I've approached Deer Lodge to do some parking, and they say they don't need it. $54 is nowhere near in the realm of reality here for this thing. That's my submission.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Schlegel, questions?
No questions?
Mr. Swansky?
Yes. What, clarify what the height restriction for you is on this property. Is it 60 feet?
No.
What is it?
They say it's 49, but they won't let me do 49. C2 is 49, but the planners will not let us do because we have to get special permission because of the runway.
Okay. Were you able to find any sales that's before April or after April, before April 1st of 2018, that were also in the restricted zone?
No, there were none.
There were no sales that you could find.
The search from the real estate agent gave me these four. They were comparable. That's the ones I read out, which were 175 St. Anne's, 198 McPhillips, 136 Wheatfield, and 1700 Leo.
Well, then I have to ask you, what do you think would be a fair assessment of your property?
I believe that McPhillips is the closest comparable,
Which was?
which was $13.68 per square foot.
What does that come to for your property?
It's $274,000. And coincidentally, the appraisal when I did buy was $350. There's been no development on that site because of these restrictions that I've had over the years. You know, Wheatfield Way is actually a greater comparison at 1053 because it's a parking lot that pays $7,000 a month rent. But Wheatfield is outside the city limits.
Thank you. No further questions.
Ms. McFadden?
No questions?
No, Ms. McFadden?
How many stories does the zoning translate to? How many stories?
It's always been just a one-story building.
It has always been, but what would be allowed there? What's your understanding of what would be allowed there?
I think, from what I understand from the planners, they might permit 2,
Okay,
but they won't permit 5 or 6.
correct, okay. 1721 Portage Avenue, which sold in 2016 for 43. Are you aware, and you've told us that that's in a less restricted zone. Are you aware of any development that has actually happened on that site?
Yeah, they have some retail there. Majority of the building is vacant. Majority of the building is vacant. They have some retail there.
And how long has it been open?
3 years.
And how tall a building is that?
2 stories.
It's a 2-story building? Okay.
The airport path for that one is over Route 90, actually further east of Route 90, and then it crosses Route 90 by Polo Park Towers. And but this is not on the path.
Okay, thank you.
I also would like to point out that sites that in this area have recently been built up that have not been restricted to multifamily. Like there was Greenway School there.
Sorry.
Greenway School, I think it was. Maybe I'm wrong in the name, but it's
In the St. James neighborhood?
behind the Keg restaurant there. There was an old school that the school division decided to dispose of.
Behind the
The Keg restaurant in Moray and Portage.
Cake restaurant.
Cave Restaurant at Moray and Portage. Silver Heights, yeah, okay.
So they were allowed to do 6 floors. And that didn't sell for this amount of money either.
Okay. I think I know the one you're talking about, right?
And Lions Manor, they also were able to expand, but they're only 2 floors.
Okay.
I can't do any multifamily here whatsoever, not even a side-by-side home I can do here. Not even allowed to do that.
Thank you.
Okay, so, sir,
Yes?
I just want some clarification. What can you build on this property?
Probably one level of retail and possibly a second floor office.
Okay.
But there's no demand for the amount of development costs there would be with it.
Okay, so no residential then at all? No
And
multifamily?
And you believe it or not,
Even if it's 2 stories, still
Yeah,
no
that's right.
multifamily?
The neighbors would like to see multifamily, and that's when we did the open houses, that's what they said.
Okay, but you are being restricted by the city?
Yes, for multifamily, yes.
Okay. Is this the first time you've brought this property to the board?
Yes.
Okay.
My health hasn't been well in the last few years, and, I've been managing.
Okay. Do you know what your previous assessment was on this property?
It started actually at nothing, a couple $100,000, and it steadily has been going up. And every year it goes up by 25% now.
Okay.
And even though the trend is downwards, they have been going upwards.
Okay. Have you attempted to sell this property?
Boy,
So it's been listed?
many times.
Okay, and when was the last time it was listed?
Last year,
And what did you list it for?
there was no price we put $1 number on it. I think the
I'm
real,
sorry.
the $1 we put on it together, generated an offer.
$1.
Generated an offer.
Was this listed with a commercial agency?
My daughter's looking after it, I don't know right now, but it was at one time with Syndico, and he had an offer of $400,000. Our debt was greater, so we couldn't sell for that. That was a few years back, maybe about 4 or 5 years back. We had an offer for actually $400,000 with some conditions that sale wouldn't have gone through. One of the conditions was they wanted to build multifamily here, which just wasn't gonna happen, so.
Sorry, do you know when that $400,000 offer was from?
It was 3 to 4 years ago. Ian Corbett was the agent. My health wasn't bad then, so I was.
I have an additional question, if I could.
Yes, go ahead.
You say you're completely restricted from multifamily. Have you applied for multifamily? Why I'm not clear on why you're saying that. I mean, it's not zoned multifamily, but there's always a rezoning.
Actually,
program.
it is zone multifamily. In C2 district, you're allowed to do multifamily
Okay,
and allowed to go 60 feet high.
okay,
In C2, that's permitted.
right.
However, due to the APO, that is
It
restricted.
says no multifamily whatsoever in the APO. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Sir, I just have a question. The APO that you were referring to, when was that brought in, do you know?
1984, I believe.
Okay. Because, are there not other apartment buildings along Portage that are definitely over 6 stories?
17, 19, you're absolutely right.
They all predate.
I
Yeah, yeah.
recall with towers, there was one airplane tire that hit one of those. Fell off.
That's what I was gonna say, Kiltartan. Okay. Thank you, sir. Leave it with us. Thank you for coming in. And back to you, Mr. Story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you, Nice to see you. You can run to the bathroom.
Sure, we'll just take a, do you want to? Not the camera, just. like to call this hearing back to order. Mr. Story,
Okay.
welcome back. And we are now going to 1040 McPhillips Street. And whenever you're ready, Michelle.
File number 19-4676. Roll number is 14052135500. 1040 McPhillips Street. It's belong Black Russian Inc. We are valuing the property assistant of January 1st, 2020, based on the economic condition April 1st, 2019. This appeal is with respect to the amount of the assessed value only. Based on the evidence in this report, in this assessor opinion, that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2018, $587,000, in that the 2020 assessed value should be confirmed. The subject property is located northwest portion of city of Winnipeg. It's located east southwest corner of intersection McPhillips in
Madam Chair.
Chamberlain Avenue. Please open page page 10 and 11. I have air photo map and subject location map and air photos. It's the subject size has an irregular shape of 21,263 square feet. On page 2nd, we have history of subject property sale in 2013 for $1,851,000. It was multiplied sale. On page 3, I have 5 comparables. Our subject size has C2 commercial zoning. First 4 comparables, they have same zoning, and my comparables number 5 has manufacturing general zoning. Subject property located at external corner. We have land influence external corner. My comparables number 4 and number 1 has same external corner. Plus we have heavy traffic. Comparable number 1, number 3 and number 4 has heavy traffic. Size of my comparables close to subject size, between 10,000 square feet to 27,000 square feet. My sale from 2016 to 2018. Range, sale price per square foot between $24.77 to $43.96. The subject property assessed at $20.06. That very my comparable show its low range of assessment. On page 4, you can see map of my land sale comparables. Red dot, it's our subject property. On page 5 to page 7, my sale comparables air photo. First on Portridge Avenue. Sale was in 2016 for $43.96. It should be adjusted upward 4 times. On Jackson Avenue, sale for in 2016, $24.77, should be adjusted upward 4 times. On page 6, sale on St. Mary Road, In 2016, 10,000 square feet for $39.05. It should be adjusted upward for time. On Henderson Highway, 21,000 square feet sale in 2018 for $39.29. In my last comparables on page 7, on King Edward Street, around 27,000 square feet for $37.19. Our assessment $20.86. It's reasonable and fair. On my page 16, I have a zoning map for subject property. It's a zoning commercial community. District intend to accommodate more intensive commercial size that do not have a local or neighborhood orientation. Based on my evidence, and it is reported, it is assessor opinion that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2018, 587,000, and that the 2020 assessed value should be confirmed. Thank you. Any questions?
Mr. Story?
Okay, no questions, but if I might make a comment, I'm prepared to accept the confirmation of the assessment. If I'd like, I'll tell you why.
Yes.
Okay, if you go to our brief, this was a recently renovated hotel, used to be the Lincoln Motor Hotel. It's now the Four Crowns. They've done a very nice job on it. If you go to page 3 of our brief, you'll see at the very bottom the parking lot. So what the city does in some instances, and I handle a number of hotels that do this, is they treat the adjacent parking lot as part of one economic unit with the hotel. And they credit the value. As long as the value is reasonable, we don't appeal them. This appeal was initiated before we were engaged. The 587 is reasonable, and it's deducted off of the assessment. So if we were to ask for a higher or lower assessment, it would just be transferred to the hotel. So I'm asking the board just confirm the assessment. Thanks.
Thank you. Panel, did you have any questions?
No? Fine.
Okay. Just in the essence of time, Mr. Story, you have 2 more properties.
It's, yes, there are 2 properties, but they're really one property that got dissected.
But are either of them going to be confirmed?
No, they're.
All right, fine, that's all right. We're going to move on to file 194845.
File number 19-4845, roll number 100942758. Owner is Right Joy Sale and Leasing Limited. Where valuing the property as a start of January 1st, 2020, based on the economic condition of April 1st, 2018. This appeal is with respect to the amount of the assessed value only. Based on the evidence in this report, in this assessor opinion, that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2018, $7,902,000, and that the 2020 assessed value should be confirmed. The subject property is located northwest portion of the city of Winnipeg. On page 6, 7 of my report, we can see subject location map and air photos. The irregular shape of one located southeast corner of McPhillips and Murray Avenue. It has 782,000 352 square feet. On page 2, we have recently sale history of subject property. In 2017, it was sold for 7,906,800. On page 3, I did represented 6 land sale comparables, and subject property is my comparables number 1. It was sold for $10.11. Second, my comparables close to subject property was sold for $14.22. Third, comparables on McPhillips Street, also very close to subject property, sale for $11.37. My comparables 4, 5, and 6 range sale from $10.88 to $15.36. We did assess subject property and $10.10. The map of my comparables location on bottom of the page, number 3. Please open page 8. The zoning map of subject property in red. It's belong to commercial regional. This district intend to accommodate the development of larger scale, distinctive and attractive regional centers containing a mix and concentrate land uses. These commercial uses are subject of frequent view by public in visitors to Winnipeg, and they should provide an attractive appearance with landscape and sufficient parking in controlled traffic movements. The center should provide commercial, office, industrial, residential use in structure high intensity the surrounding area. The area may also contain concentration of medium to high density office development as well as a broad mix of complementary uses, which may include major civil and public facility and park. This district may contain multi-family housing, and development should facilitate and encourage pedestrian travel between residential and not residential use. On page number 9, owner has 2 neighboring properties. On bottom page it's subject property, and on up it's another property. On appeal it will be next appeal, same, will be here today. On page 10 you can see a photo of my comparables. First comparables was sold in 2017 for $10.11, belong same owner. On page 10 bottom, photos, adjacent property was sold for $14.22. On page 11, subject property sale in 2018 for $11.37. No, it's a different. It's McPhillips. Irregular shape of property of more than 1,000,000 square feet was sold in 2018 for $11.37. On property in Templeton was sold in 2017 for $10.88. On page 12, just more than 100,000 square feet piece of land was sold in February 2018 for $15.36. In property close to previous was sold $15.36. My comparable showed for $10.10. It's and low range of assessment. It should be confirmed and very fair. Based on evidence in this report, it is assessor opinion that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2018, $7,902,000, and that the 2020 assessed value should be confirmed. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Mr. Story?
Yes, thank you. If I just get you to quickly go to page 3 of your report. So you've provided us with 6 comparables, correct?
Correct.
And do all of these comparables have sewer and water? Or do any of them have sewer and water?
Comparables number 3 doesn't have sewer and water.
Mhm. How about 4?
But it has same zoning regulation, C4, commercial, regional,
Right.
and big size, or 4,000 square feet.
I presume 5 would have sewer and water because that's a developed area, that's Templeton, that's where the same owner owns some of these properties, is that correct?
Yes, it's under construction right now, it's already finished.
Yeah, so the 2 comparables, 5 and 6, definitely have sewer and water, they're in residential areas.
Yes, in the residential area, it just represent the market of sale in
Yeah.
this area.
And are these 2 comparables on 5 and 6, are they adjacent to the Walmart?
I'm not sure about Walmart.
Are they connected to?
I know Templeton, it's across Walmart, very close.
Yeah. And Mr. Gautier's new collision center is one
Yes.
of these 2, correct?
On Templeton,
You and I
that's
had the
correct.
privilege of doing
Mhm.
that one ourselves.
My best comparables, 1, 2, and 3.
1, 2, and 3, okay. So, and
But,
I agree, you would throw out 4, 5, and 6 because
Just
they
short market.
don't compare,
Mm.
okay? And if you were to take out, interestingly enough, on page 3, halfway up, you have the mean median at 1288 and 1279. If you take out 5 and 6, because they're developed properties and they're also zoned residential too, they're really not comparable to Bald Prairie vacant commercial. You come up with $10.78 mean and a $10.88 median. That sounds reasonable. And you're
Yeah.
using a net rent of $10 here, or net rent of $10.
Yes, it's correct, and my subject property was sold in 2017 for $10.11.
Right.
So
And
it-
you're aware, or you may not be, of what the plan, are you aware what reason, it was well publicized, why the owner bought this land? Mr.
You-
Gauthier bought the land?
I don't know.
Okay. Are you familiar with Chief Pegwas Trail coming through to McPhillips?
Maybe
From,
you can inform us.
okay. Just for information only, some of these are zoned multi-tenant, multi-family, so because of the zoning, gives you more opportunities and might be the highest demand would be the multi-tenant.
Multi-tenant zoning, my comparables number 5 and 6,
Right.
$15.56,
Yeah,
and we assess only $10.10. I took
but this is
this
vacant,
into
vacant commercial.
consideration.
Yours is, the subject is vacant commercial.
Vacant commercial, C4.
Yeah.
My comparables number 3 and 4, it's C4 commercial. 1, 3, and 4, C4 commercial,
Okay.
and they sell in range $10.11 to $11.37.
Yeah.
So it's very fair, support our rent assessed price, $10.10 per for subject property.
Okay, thank you. And I'll just, if I may, I'll, I'm just adjusting them together like this, I'll just carry the ordinance, right? Thank you. Are you ready for it?
No? Do you have any more questions?
No, oh, no,
No.
sorry, no more questions.
Thank you. Mr. Swansky?
No, I think I'm fine, no questions, thank you.
And I have no question.
I just have one question, I believe, page 2 on your brief. On your sale history in 2017 for $7,000,009. Do you have any reason to believe that was not arm's length?
Yes, it's clean sale.
Clean sale. Okay. Page 3, would you say your best comparable is going to be number 1?
Number one, because it's recently a subject sale just before reference day.
Yeah.
Plus my comparables number 3, it's a neighboring property,
Yeah.
sale for same, was sale to same owner. And Templeton, number 4, same C4 commercial zoning. So,
Thank you. That's all my questions.
May I have a follow-up, just for clarification?
Yes?
Did you indicate it was a sale to the same owner? Did I hear you say that just now? When you're going through, I think you said comparable,
My comparable number 1 and number 3
yeah.
belong same owner, run joint sale leasing, because
It's
my
Mr. Gauthier, say
comparable,
it's the subject property owner, Mr. Gauthier, Ranjoy, correct?
no.
Or Ranjoy?
Number 1 and number 3.
Yeah,
Number 1, it's right now subject property on the hearing, and number 3, it's next case.
oh, so when you're saying,
Both was bought by Ryan Sale and Leasing Limited.
Yes.
On, you can open page 9. Where I did showed a map of neighboring properties.
okay. So what you're saying, that the same one, but it's the same piece, it was the property was dissected, right? That's why it's on 2 separate,
Yes,
Items,
because they
separate
separated by road.
yeah. And this
North
was one
Point
parcel,
Boulevard.
one parcel of property that he bought, but it was divided by the city for the planning of getting, Pegasus is gonna become North Point Road when it eventually gets there.
Do you
And
have-
just for clarification, make sure the board understands, one of the other comps in here, or maybe 2, the last comps, 5 and 6, they're acquired also by Ranjoy, by Mr. Gauthier, correct?
It's close.
Yeah, and he owns the adjacent property, he owns the Lady Joyce apartment block, plus the collision center that you and I just recently did an appeal on, is that correct?
It just showed market sale
Yeah,
in this neighbor.
yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, if you'd like to give us your presentation now?
Yes.
Thank you.
I think everybody is familiar with approximately where Peguis should be crossing McPhillips, north of the co-op station, north of Winnipeg Honda. And it's gonna be coming out down North Point Road. It connects to North Point Road and then punches through. And then the final phase, which is a few years away, is from McPhillips to Main Street. No, wait a minute.
That can't be right.
McPhillips to Route 90.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Route 90. I was thinking that.
Continuing west.
I was sitting the other way around when I thought of it. So, if you go to page 2 just describes the property. It's vacant commercial, it's 18 acres. It was recently acquired The assessment is $7,902,000. If you go to page 3, you'll see our subject property. Again, North Point Road is going to be punching through. It'll become Peguis and will ultimately be extended. It was initially contemplated that the next extension, which takes you to McPhillips, was to be started in 2008 and completed by 2018, and completed by 2021. And then the final phase is to be finished within a decade. So this is not it moves at glacier speed, they say. If you look at the overview, you'll see there's some housing developments have occurred east of the subject property. High density housing for the most part, I believe. And that's all because of the potential of Peguis coming through. Unfortunately, Peguis got delayed. And it got delayed with a dispute between the city and the province, and this is germane to our discussion today, is Mr. Gauthier and Councillor Sharma and the mayor sat on a working committee to sort this thing out. In 2018, it was February, I believe. It was passed by City Hall, confirmed by City Hall, and was scheduled to proceed. In around May, word came down that the city was going to be looking at the infrastructure money, it's federal money mostly, I believe, and put it on street repair, the demanding street repair. So they identified 10 streets, and this project got delayed. And it got delayed probably 5 years and maybe longer. They're suggesting, when the city made their announcement, they suggested that it could be as much as a decade before they finish it. So, getting back to Mr. Gauthier, and Mr. Gauthier's last desire, his last vision, he's a major property owner in the McPhillips area, was to have 2 of his car dealerships at the corner where Peguis entered into McPhillips, which is, I forgot the name of that street here. North Point Road. So that's the reason he bought the property. With closing costs and everything, he felt he had paid $932 a square foot, which is approximately what he did pay with the proper measurement. And when he found out that it would be delayed for some period, his position was that he wouldn't have paid that for the property had he not been assured that it was going to be proceeding faster than where it now proceeds. This appears to be proceeding. So what we did is we said, well, let's look at it. He was a motivated purchaser, there's no question about that. So let's look at the market and see what's reasonable. And the assessment, if you go to page 4, the 2 pieces of property, the 18-acre site is assessed at $1008, and we're suggesting that looking at the comparables and the market and giving some consideration to the fact he's a motivated purchaser, that a more realistic number would be $8.50 a square foot. He will be incurring significant costs waiting for this to be finalized, and there's certainly interest costs because you pay a significant amount for this. In addition to that, there'll be taxes that come about by these tribunals. If you go to the next page, you'll see some vacant commercial, because we think that's all you should be comparing is vacant commercial. And there are 2 that we've chosen. One is on Panet, and that's number 839 Panet. And if you go across, that sale it's a dated sale, but 214, and it's $1 million, $863 a square foot. And that's Panet, that's in the northeast end of town. And then right connected to the new developments that we call Seasons of Tuxedo, the very last item here is a sale at $8.76 a square foot. And these are larger larger properties that we could find. If you flip the page, there's some others here. These are just other sales, and I've heard them discussed earlier today. Hyde Avenue was talked a number of times. And these are some smaller land area sales, and they're 1128 and 967, so we don't think that the 850 is unreasonable, given economies of scale because of the size of this property. If you go to the next, this will give you time to, in due course, this is a newspaper article dated February 12th of 2018, just before the reference date. And this is where Mr. Gauthier came to the meeting and got a standing ovation by saying, "I'm not waiting, I'm going to look for other opportunities that we'll build before it gets here." And that, this all just speaks to his intent. His intent was to buy it because of the opportunity and didn't anticipate it would be 5 years. So I'm suggesting that it's not unreasonable, taking away the motivated purchaser aspect of our page 2, that there's a value of $8.50. There's a little bit of information on page 4 where there's a bit of an adjustment. It comes up to average of best comps is 870, and I've used 850 because there's a little economy of scale and there's a locational adjustment. Certainly, there's a 15% location adjustment between Sterling Lion and, which is the Seasons of Tuxedo, and what is really just currently just Bald Prairie on McPhillips, north of all existing construction. And that's it. So we're asking for $8.50 a square foot for each of this, and I'll ask you to carry the same arguments through to the next file.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. Questions?
Yes, let's open page 5
Page 5?
or page 10. You was talk about Ahmed, sale in 2014, and Sterling Line, sale in
Yes.
2013. You would agree that vacant land sale price generally increase over the time?
Vacant land only increases if development opportunities are there. There's no legitimate time. Time itself doesn't add value. Opportunities add value. So no, I don't agree that there's time adjustment. That property's been sitting there for a long time and nobody's been clamoring to buy it.
So you
So
don't,
I think if that the time adjustment comes as a result of change in opportunity, change in zoning, change in easements, change in right-of-ways, change in the environment around you. I don't think that value is directly related to time. See, that makes an assumption that everything goes up, and that doesn't happen in the real world.
is it true that you don't do any adjustment for this?
We don't do time adjustments, no.
Let's look on your sale, 5429 Roblin, first sale. It was
Five-
sale in 2016.
Which address was that?
Your first your sale comparables,
Yeah. Which one?
first
Third one.
on Roblin. It was sale in 2016, $13.68. Another sale, what I will look at the consideration number second, on John Angus was sale in 2016 for $14.35.
Mhm.
So it's very well supported, our assessed rent, correct?
Well, you know that, is John Angus, the best of my recollection, is in South Point, is that correct?
It's your comparables.
No, I'm asking you, are you aware of South Point? Are you aware of that area?
It's your comparables, I see
Okay.
sale in 2016.
So the question is, you asked, did it sell for that?
$13
Yes,
to
it did. In
$14.
216, apparently it did, correct, or we wouldn't have it in here. Yes. But the world is changing on that. Bridgewater and South Point are adding 2,500 homes a year. So the market's changing that's what gives rise to increases, in my opinion.
Let's look on your page 6, agent comparables.
Vacant land, smaller ones? Page 5?
Yes.
Yeah, page 5.
Page 6.
6.
I got a 5 on mine. Hang on, I got two different groups. Oh, yeah. So it's 5 on one and 6 on the other, sorry. Yeah, page 6, yes.
You did presented vacant land with industrial zoning. Isn't true that industrial zoning sell less than commercial zoning, correct?
I'm not sure of that. I don't know. You're saying, just if I heard you
Uh,
correctly, you're
well,
saying
you-
that industrial
Industrial
is
zoning.
more valuable or less valuable?
Less valuable
Than
than
commercial?
commercial zoning.
I would think so, because commercial you have more opportunities. I would presume so, but I don't know.
And your comparables number 3 and 4 showed between $14.88 to $21.60.
Correct, yeah.
It's less, sale for less than our subject property commercial zoning, correct?
Sale for less than our commercial zoning. You're asking, is that sale for less? They seem to be high, they would be higher than we're
Yes.
talking about. Yeah, higher, not lower.
So it's look like very good comparables to support our assessed rent.
Well, we also could have given you 6 comparables and not put in the high ones, but that wouldn't be fair and equitable. We're not trying to hide anything.
No questions, further questions?
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sawatsky?
The sale of this property, it's a very recent sale, is that not right?
218.
Yeah. So that should be reflective of the market?
It does, except you have a motivated purchaser who now believes that, who has actually, on some of the information in the news releases, has indicated that he wouldn't have paid what he paid for it if he thought he had to carry it for a number of years. So he's a motivated person. He had a plan, and he'd been to the city about the intersection and the car dealerships. So he's very motivated and still is to do things. And he's a big property owner on McPhillips with car dealerships and the collision centers and the car washes and et cetera, et cetera.
So nothing's happened for 8 years, you indicated, and now the indication, you believe nothing's going to happen for another 5?
They said another decade to do the final one. That was just, this is post-reference, that's a news release that came out this week. The City of Winnipeg Council is expected to approve the final plans in early 2018, which they did. The first phase of the extension should be implemented in 2021. That gets you to, first phase being getting you to Phillips from Elijah Moody and where it is now. With the final stretch expected to be completed about a decade thereafter, estimates by city document, as estimated by city documents. And then they talk about indeed Chief Pecos Trail's completion has been a long time coming, and it still has a ways to go, but it will be worth the wait, says Mr. Schindler, the realtor. Good things are happening throughout the city, and good things need planning and for decades before they finally get done, but it's nice to hear they're moving in the right direction. And then there's lots of stories on Ms. Mahaichuk, the Liberal, objecting to the city redirecting what she perceives to be infrastructure money. I'm not a politician, so I'm just going by the news reports I read. That they shouldn't be redirecting road repairs, street repairs to these major infrastructure projects. That should come out of operating budgets. So she was opposed to it because she wanted the infrastructure project delivered to her ward.
Thank you. No further questions.
Questions? Chief Pecos is expected to be completed 2021. Is that not the relevant part for Mr. Goche?
Yeah, but it's gone now. They then delayed it. It didn't get in, it was in that infrastructure money, and they took it out. They
Okay,
replaced it, and Miss Sharma and Mr. Bowman met with Mr. Goche to tell him they're not proceeding with this phase at this time.
okay.
He bought it in anticipation of it being imminent.
All right, that's one more question. Oh, one other question. The page 6 vacant industrial
Mhm.
lands that are here, they tend to be a little bit on the lower side, but are they not much smaller?
That's the point.
Which
That
would-
was, the second page of comps are just small space.
Right, which would not, you'd expect that sale price to be higher.
You'd expect it to be, except as an anomaly. Nobody will believe it, perhaps, but the real anomaly is parcels, larger parcels sometimes sell for more because there's more opportunity to develop them. When you
Understood.
buy a small parcel, there's little you can do.
Okay, thank
So,
you.
but these are just parcels all over the city that we found that are vacant commercial.
Thank you, and I have no questions.
Thank you.
We will move on to our last property.
Oh, that, well, we can just carry forward the arguments, so it's up to you.
We still have to
Okay. Read it in here.
go through the procedure.
File number 19-4662, roll number 0500942860, located at McPhillips Street, belong to Ryan Sales and Leasing Limited. We are valuing the property as a stand of January 1st, 2020, based on the economic condition of April 1st, 2018. This appeal is with respect to the amount of the assessed value only. Based on the evidence in this report, it is assessor opinion that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2018, $11,496,000, and that 2020 assessed value should be confirmed. The subject property is located northwest portion of City of Winnipeg. On page 7, subject location map, and on page 8, air photo of subject property. The subject size has an irregular shape of 1,115,041 square feet. On page 2, I showed sale history of subject property. Subject property was sold in 2018 for $12,676,950. On page number 3, I have 6 comparables. Comparables 1, 2, 1 and 3, sale of subject property in previous land. They both was sold bought by Ryan Sales Leasing Limited, was sold for $10.11, and subject property was sold in 2018 for $11.37. Property with same zoning C4 number, my comparables number 4 on Templeton was sold for $10.88. My comparables 5 and 6, it's multi-residential zoning in same area. I showed market evidence of sale in this neighborhood. So our assessed value of $10.31, very well supported by my comparables and on its low range. On page 4, we can see map of my sale comparables, land sale comparables with red dot of subject property. On page 9, we can see map of commercial zoning for subject property in red. On page 10, I show 2 neighboring property of same owner. On page 11 through 13, here photo of our my land sale comparables. Comparables number 1, sale in 2017, $10.11. Comparables number 2, sale in 2017 for $14.22. On page 12, comparables number 3 on Mark Phillips, sale for $11.57 and our subject property sale. On Templeton, sale in 2017 for $10.88. On page 13, sale for 2 sales for $13.36. That our assessed sale for $10.31. Our assessed value for $10.31 per square foot is fair based on evidence in this report. It is assessor opinion that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2018, $11,496,000, and that the 2020 assessed value should be confirmed.
Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Story?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
And Mr. Swansky?
No questions.
No question.
And I have no questions. Mr. Story?
I just would like to carry forward the arguments from the last case. I really
course.
encourage the board to take a minute and read a little attachment to the article. There's been good news, we'll save the good news till the last, is that at the town hall, where the residents were concerned that this was not going to happen, that Douglas wasn't going to be completed. Mr. Gauthier indicated he would look for other tenants irrespective of his vision, and in fact he's in negotiation with Costco. So it may very well work out for everybody. However, if he were going out looking for Costco or Canadian Tire or Lowe's or any of these folks, he likely wouldn't have bought this much land or paid this much for the land. So it was part of an overall package. And I did, just for comment, I'm looking at the assessor's comps, and they're really a bit misleading because Mr. Gauthier is very active in February and March of 2018 because he bought the 2 Templeton properties. He also owns the adjacent property, which is Lady Joyson apartment block. And he also, these properties are adjacent to the Walmart, right in Walmart. So they're really not comparable to vacant land that may not be developed for 5 more years. So thank you. So I think the 850 is reasonable. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Did you have any questions? Mr. Sawatsky?
No.
No. And I had no questions either. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for appearing today, Mr. Story.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for putting up with me.
And this hearing is closed. Thank you.